Welcome to the Hayhurst Brothers Podcast with your host, Paul Risse.
Best one yet.
That was a good one.
All right, Jake, go ahead and take the lead.
All right, Paul, go ahead, but I will as well. So, today is our 10th podcast, number 10.
What are we going to do for it?
We're going to give a hat away, actually. So, for the first person that comments on this video,
Right
what
here.
do they get?
So we have a selection of hats. One is green, one is mustardy yellow, one is a navy, one is an orange, and one is a light blue / slate gray. And
Here's the thing. I was literally about to say you did a good job because Paul is colorblind. That is not slate gray. That's baby blue.
I called it baby blue.
I know, but then you finished it off with gray.
A little slate gray.
Very rare that Paul gets colors correct.
This one time, where were we at? Oh, Detroit. We went to Detroit, and we're walking down the street, and there's this building, and it has a fresh coat of paint on it. And so Dan and Jake and I start a mild, light-hearted discussion on what color it is. And I say, well, it's green. And then they start saying all these fancy colors that are, like in the spectrum of like teals and seafoams.
It was blue. It was a blue building, and Paul said it was green.
You didn't let me finish.
That's because you're
not
not telling the truth.
And so we're arguing over I forgot what color it was, but we all said a color.
It was a primary color of blue, and Paul said it was green. And his claim to fame is that the painters were there, and he said, hey, this color is green? And they didn't speak very good English, and they said, yes? Maybe? You
made up that part.
No.
They spoke perfectly good English. Anywho, a painter verified my color choice.
So, if you're the first commenter on this video, you can pick green, yellow, blue, orange, or baby blue for your hat, and we'll get it to you.
Nice.
Thank you, Paul. So, today, it's just Paul and I here, but we're going to maybe talk about some current events, Who knows? You don't know what we're going to get into.
I had a surprise question.
Okay.
Is there anything going on in the world that you want to talk about?
Nice, Paul. That is a surprise question.
Yeah.
We can get back to that. How about the weather today? What's the weather like here in North Texas?
It's not being modified here. It's 82 degrees, sunshine. It's perfect.
Seems like you're talking maybe about some kind of conspiracy, Paul. If you're talking about modification of the weather.
Well, it used to be called a conspiracy, Jake, and now it's just called geoengineering. But that's all right.
You never know. Not here right now, but other parts of the world. What you're saying is the actual weather's being modified.
It is something that people would probably debate, and I think it's gone past the ability to debate, and you can observe it happening. So
it's called
literally just go on your computer and just type in geoengineering, and it will pop up exactly what geoengineering is. And it's cloud seeding, it's weather manipulation, it's spraying salts into the atmosphere, it's reflective
climate change.
Jake,
I'm just saying, Paul.
Jake,
that's what they're telling you. You started it. They're telling us that's what it is.
You had to go there. All right, this is a podcast about home building.
It affects us, though. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it really does.
The weather affects us as builders.
Yeah, lumber may be going up because of some
geoengineering,
some things that have been happening lately with different areas of America. The 18th, which is a Friday, from 9:30 a.m. to noon, I'm going to do a spoiler alert. We're renting a DeLorean.
So we can drive it?
We're not going to be able to drive it, Jake. It's a time travel machine. So driving is kind of secondary nature. It's kind of boring. But
so you sit in it?
Yep, you sit in it, cool. And then, man, does time fly.
Nice.
It just goes. We're going to try to set up a hoverboard, but then we're also going to be touring 5 to 6 homes, mid-century modern atomic ranch, modern farmhouse, and some customs. And it's all kind of in that area that we live out there. Beautiful homes. So if you're a potential client and would like to see some of our homes, reach out, send us a message on Instagram or text me 940-577-9002. And I'll RSVP you. We already have a good group coming.
I can tell you this, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a beautiful day. And
can you guarantee that? Or
I can guarantee it.
Okay.
Can you? I mean, every day is beautiful.
If as long as you say every day is beautiful, then we can say
we can guarantee it.
We can guarantee it's a beautiful day.
We're gonna have coffee, and pastries.
What about the coffee will be unique?
You'll just have to come to find out. But there is a unique element to the coffee that will be served. So, but it'll be a fun time.
We're going to go on side by side. So going back trails through the country, maybe see a jackrabbit, maybe a deer, armadillo, skunk, mountain lion, bobcat.
It's going to feel like you've gone back in time, Paul.
Ooh.
You know?
It would if we were on horses, not on side by sides, but
you know, we're going in back trails.
Yeah, back in time, back trails. All right, so that's October 18th. Reach out if you want to join us. It's going to be really, really fun. Let's start with some questions, Jake.
All right.
This is from quartz.time. What is the best time of year to build a home?
If you're talking about starting a home, that's a good question. Probably late spring, I would say.
I would agree. Why is that, Jake?
So, post rainy season, if you get started too early, then the rain can mess with you when you're coming to do the dirt work, the foundation work. I mean, really, you can work around everything in North Texas. Different parts of the country can be a very different answer, but here, there's really not a bad time to start, but late spring's pretty nice because, you know, you can get the house dirt work done, foundation, and dried in before the fall rains. So less weather interference. Granted, you know, framing during the summer is never fun, but nothing's really fun outside in the summer here. So unless you're going to the lake.
Would you rather frame when it's 105 or 20?
105.
Every time.
When I was framing in Idaho, the cutoff was 14 below zero. There was literally days driving to work, passing the bank, and it's like 10 below, and you're just like, just dreading the day, because that's cold.
That's very cold.
You don't get a lot done.
Yeah.
But we went to work anyways, and, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say.
I would like to disagree with that point, but it goes beyond this podcast. All right. Let's see here. Ash_keeps_bees dash.
No, that dash is probably your dash, not in their name.
How much are your house plans?
I'll let you take this one, Paul, because I got the last one.
Okay. Our house plans are $3,500, and they are $150 per hour to make changes. And usually if the changes are small, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 hours for our CAD department to make those changes. And yeah, we would love to sell your house plan. Actually, I just got off the phone with somebody who is driving in, and they want to build a house inside of an airport and have an airplane there, and so they want to bring in the deeds and questions for their builder has, and we get to answer them. So if that's you, yes, we can build you a house plan.
We can build you a house plan. Nice,
and then probably if you're actually asking if you want to buy a house plan, just be aware that whenever you call and talk to us, we're probably going to try to talk you into building in our area just because it's the best area in Texas right now.
I would agree.
But beyond that, we would love to sell you a house plan. $3,500, $150 an hour for changes. And we do customs as well, different pay scale there, and we sell the Simple Life at a slightly smaller
I mean, we've
price.
spent enough time on these plans that you really don't necessarily need to change anything.
Right.
So this is a turnkey, $3,500. You'll get a set of plans that your builder can build from that. I mean, they're great. They're great houses.
And Chris has also already pre-modified many of the house plans. And so if you say, I want an extra bonus room, or I want a bigger ensuite, or any of those things, a lot of times we've already built that into a set of the plans that we have. So it could be even less changes than you'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean, go to our website, click on any of our portfolio homes, and you'll be able to kind of see, you can build out your own plan basically based off of the pre-done changes. So
Nice. Good catch.
thanks, Paul.
Next question. Tech-8er dash.
I think it's Technator. Like Ralph Nader, only Technator. It says TECH in the number 8R. Maybe, you know, people do this on their license plates.
Because there's too many letters.
Right.
All right, so what are some new building materials / techniques that you're using on your homes? And Jake, I think you're a good one to ask for this.
Thank you, Paul.
We talk about the blocks.
So some new building materials. Blocks are an ancient material, but we are building a... Paul, careful.
It's obviously people know like a rock is like
right, and I'm going there. You said tell them about the block, and I'm saying blocks are ancient.
You're being like a little sarcastic though.
No, I was going into the difference in a regular block and what we're using. If you would have let me finish before you
so you're setting
dramatic.
me up. You're setting me up.
Right.
Okay,
So block is an ancient material. It's in the ground. Mm-hmm. But we are building a house right now out of a limestone poured block. So what it is at a rock quarry, they're taking the crushed limestone and they're mixing it together and they're pouring molds with a limestone block. And what's nice about limestone is it is, what's the word I'm looking for? My mind just went blank, Paul.
The binder.
It soaks up
composite
the heat in the day and it releases it at night and vice versa. My mind is not going to the word, but maybe Chris can put it in there afterwards when I think about it.
Thermal mass.
But it's a very cool building material. It's a 14 by 14 by 48 block, and basically it also gets an agent put in it that makes it waterproof, so you don't get any wicking from the outside in. And so what you have is a 14-inch thick wall built out of these blocks. And so the interior of your wall is a really beautiful limestone as well as the outside. So that's a product we're using right now in a home out in Jacksboro. Other new materials, there's a lot of new materials out there. We typically try to stick to materials that are tried and true that have been around 10 or more years just to make sure that it's not a fad and something that people think is going to be good. I'm not going to put something in our homes that doesn't have stood the test of time. But we do use, on our house wraps, we use a Tamlin product with a built-in rain screen. That's something that's definitely different than your industry standard or what other builders are doing. It's just a far better product. We fully encapsulate our homes with spray foam. But for the most part, we're not using anything too technologically advanced, but we are putting structural elements into our homes.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll have meetings with people of interest and that have taken ventures into certain experiments with building materials, and they'll introduce them to Jake, and Jake has always said, we'll give it some time and see how it does, and if it proves to do well, then maybe we'll incorporate it into our house. I like that about you. You're always wanting to get some information to verify that it works. So
Thank you, Paul.
That's good.
Susan Ritter 84's question is, how long does it take to build a home? It's a good question. A lot of the, I say that after every question basically, but yeah. It depends on the size. So, and the style of the home. There's so many things to take into account, but general rule of thumb over the grand spectrum of what we build on size. Sorry, Paul. Somewhere in the middle, you're looking at from breaking ground to finishing, I would say a good average is 7 months.
Let's say we have a type of home called the Simple Life. It's a smaller footprint home. What would you say?
5 months.
Ooh, okay. Let's say there's a 2,500 square foot portfolio home.
9 months.
Let's say there's a 10,000 square foot custom home.
15 months.
10,000 What's the average of
is the big house, Paul?
6, 7, and 14? Is it?
Well, here's the thing, Paul. The 10,000 square foot homes, that's very, very few and far between. We build a lot more Simple Life and portportfolios, so you
so
can't really count the outlier.
All right, I was just checking your math.
So maybe 8 months.
Yeah. So that's a good answer for Susan Ritter, 84.
I bet she's born in 84. That puts her close to me, Paul. I was born in 1983. When were you born?
1976. I'm a bicentennial baby. Do you know what that means?
I do not.
1776 was the year that was very historical in America, and so bicentennial just means there's like a repetition of the number 17, like twice by.
Very cool, Paul.
Sunrun Power. I bet this is a company. But
no, it's Sunrun Power, Paul.
Well, there's no O or E. Sunrun Power.
I bet you maybe they do solar. You know?
Do y'all install solar panels on homes?
We do not. We, as Hayhurst Brothers, we would get a secondary trade to install the panels. But our homes are very efficient, and we have built several homes that are fully on solar, but we don't actually do the installation ourselves. That's a little bit out of our purview. Get the professionals to do.
I'm just going to go beyond her question. Would you suggest that, Jake, someone getting solar on their homes?
Sure. I think so. I think there's a lot of different ways to do it, obviously. You know, we've had clients that put solar on their house just to offset their electric bill, and they're tied into the grid. So you still have, a meter charge every month, but you are offsetting your bill to where over time, you're paying that solar off. But most of those systems, it's kind of a joke, if you ask me, because most of those systems, if the power does go out, it doesn't work. The government has set it up in a way you get this subsidy from the government, but you have to be connected to the grid, and you can't have battery power backup. There's so many stipulations. I would suggest, if you're going to do it, get with a company that really knows what they're doing, and make sure that your system is not only good currently, it's doing its job right now where you're offsetting your bill, but go ahead and spend the extra little bit of money to ensure that if calamity happens, we have some kind of, what was it called? Snowmageddon.
Yep. And
the power goes out, that you still have power, because most of the systems that are being installed in Texas, when the power does go out, it doesn't work.
It's interesting. You mentioned Snowmageddon, which would be like one in recent times memorable time where having solar would be an advantage. How many of our houses fell during Snowmageddon? 0? Oh, 0. Wow. I didn't know that.
We didn't have any pipe bursts from any of our homes on Snowmageddon, Paul.
That's good. I kind of want to get some solar on my house, just as an emergency for pumping water and all that fun stuff. All right, Dan Ran 12 or Dan Ran I2.
This is definitely
Dan Rainey 2.
No, that's definitely Dan Ran 12.
What is the smallest house that you build or that you have?
The St. Joe. See, our Simple Life homes are named after towns in Texas that we are fond of. And the St. Joe, actually probably, I don't know that it's meant to be like this, but that's probably the smallest town that we have
in this area.
In the series. We got the Lukenbach. We've got the Marfa.
Marfa might be small. How big is St. Joe?
St. Joe's bigger than smaller than Marfa.
Marfa's got like 2,000. How many St. Joe?
St. Joe has maybe 700.
I heard it's up and coming, though.
Yeah, I heard it is, too, Paul. It's up there in the North Country.
So what size is the St. Joe?
St. Joe is
506.
506 square feet. It's a really, really great little house.
Yeah, we've had a couple of clients that have built them, and they loved them, and one of them said they would actually have loved to have lived in that instead of the bigger house that we built, just because it was the perfect little...
They lived in it. We built them that house, and they lived in that while we built the big house, and I think they liked, they liked their big house, obviously, but there was something special about being in that small space.
I agree.
Probably brought them together,
Yep. And I think Jake should actually develop a few more small ones like that. Jake makes me mad because he built this well house that is up on top of the mountain out where we live, and he just made it like a room, and he could have made it like the sweetest little tiny house in the whole world. And he's just like, I'm just going to build like the smallest and coolest room in the whole world. But
it's a well house, Paul.
I know, but you turned it into kind of it could have been like the coolest little thing ever. And,
it is. You
have a knack.
It serves its purpose, but thank you, Paul.
You have a knack for design and building, and I like it.
Thank you.
It makes me mad sometimes, actually, how good you are.
This is a good little podcast, Paul.
I kind of liked it. There was a little back and forth. It feels like there's more space. usually there's 3 people here, and I'm the person in the middle, and it's really hard to make eye contact here and here, and then allow y'all to make eye contact here.
You do good though, Paul. You play it off well.
Thanks. Thank y'all for watching, and I added up the total views, and we are actually in the thousands now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of them is close to 300 by itself, Jake. So imagine if this parking lot had 300 people in it. It would probably be close to full on this like top 3 quarters.
Nice. 300 people, Paul. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so imagine what happens in the future if we keep on doing this and there's thousands at a time, Jake.
That'd be pretty neat.
From a marketing perspective, that's what we're striving for. So share this with your friends. We'll try to keep it fun, lighthearted. Jake is really, really very wise with many of these things, and I just plant little seeds that are questions, and then we just learn from each other and have a good time.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for watching. Have a good day. Come visit us for the tour of homes. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to figure out the hoverboard.
But how are you going to do the hoverboard, Paul?
Either a fishing line connected to 4 posts and 4 holes drilled, so when you're standing on it, you can't see the fishing line in a picture, but you're floating.
Gotta have some heavy fishing line, Paul.
100-pound fishing line.
So does that mean it'll hold 400 pounds if you have 4 of them?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Thank y'all.
Yep. That's Paul. Good job.
Thanks.